Good morning. Welcome to Escoffier Online. My name is Chef Caesar. Today I'm going to show you how to make a chorizo sausage. This art of making sausages is called charcuterie, which comes from the French term meaning meat cooker, which it's a culinary art from France, of course. They began back in the 15th century. They do pâtés. Doesn't necessarily have to do with pork. They do different meats like pâtés and like specialty sausage. And now we have this throughout the world. This is a sausage that we use in Mexico. It's called chorizo, and it really was brought by the Spanish, conquistadors that came to Mexico. Then Spain, they have a lot of different sausages that they make, hams, and it's a big thing. So also I got a book I want to show you. That's a really nice book that deals with the whole process that they do in Spain. It's like a ritual, and it deals from the fitting of the pork to all the way down to making the sausage and cooking it. So today we're going to start with some, I got some pork shoulder here that I'm going to grind to make the sausage. And this is, I'm sure some of you had chorizo before, but maybe you guys, don't realize that it's really easy to make. Like I said, I have some cut up, some pork shoulder, which is like, it's actually called pork butt, but in reality it's a shoulder from the pig. And as you can see, I have some of the fat in there. And you don't have to buy it like this. If you can also buy ground pork, but make sure you get some fat too, because you want to add some fat to this to the meat, because this is going to help in the curing process. Also, I have a lot of spices. You can see I got some cumin, I got some whole cloves, some bay leaves, some thyme, some allspice, oregano, coriander seeds, some marjoram. I got some paprika and apple cider vinegar, black pepper, garlic. There's a lot of nice spice that go in there, and I have them like whole. But if you don't have a spice grinder, I got one here. They already ground some spices ahead of time. But if you don't have one of those, you can buy them already ground. The good thing when you buy like whole spices and you can toast them a little bit, there's like nicer aroma that you get when you toast them. The oils kind of come out, and it's a nicer flavor when you use like fresh. It's like doing fresh roast coffee. So it's the same idea behind. But again, let's begin. I also have some the really good ingredient. This is some peppers. I got some Guajillo peppers and some Ancho peppers. These are actually poblano pepper that's been dry, and these are Guajillo peppers that we use for many different sauces. In the Spanish is Mexican cuisine, as you probably know. I already got them soaking. If you wanna keep them kind of spicy, when you clean the peppers, especially the Guajillo peppers, they got these little veins inside the membranes. If you want to make the chorizo a little spicy, you want to leave some of this on. It's up to you, because you can buy some chorizo that's kind of spicy and some is mild. But like again, you want to, there's a lot of seeds in here, but also these membranes, kind of spicy too. If you want to make it, a little hot, you want to leave some of this on. I kind of took most of them off because, I want to make it a little mild, but if you want to make it spicy, you can also add a little more of these little things. And make sure you wear gloves, because, you don't want to handle the peppers and rub your eyes. It will really be painful. So sometimes I do without gloves, but again, you kind of pay the consequence. You forget about, you have peppers in your hand and you rub your face and it starts to burn. Now let's begin by grinding some of this pork. I got about 3 pounds of meat here, and like I said, leave the fat in there. That's okay. If you buy just a plain ground pork, there's no fat. You want to buy a little extra fat on the side that you want to mix with the meat. That way, kind of helps out when you cure it. In the curing process, it won't be too dry. And it works better if you keep the meat in the refrigerator nice and cold. So if you cut it up ahead of time, put it back in the refrigerator so it gets nice and cold. So when you grind this, it works much better, because sometimes it tends to be a little too warm and it kind of sticks. But as you can see, it's coming out really nice. So it works much better when it's nice and cold in the refrigerator, like I said before. The same thing goes when you have like the ground pork. You want to keep it in the cooler until you have everything ready to be mixed. Okay, now that we have the meat ground up, I'm going to show you. You can see some of the fat in here. This is going to be nice because some of this, all this fat, when it cooks, you can separate it. It's going to melt, and but again, it's going to be a nice way for this the meat to cure, the chorizo, once we put them in the casing. And again, you don't have to put this in the casing. You can just put it in the refrigerator once it's made, and you can just cook it like that. Sometimes at restaurants we buy a bulk, and because it's cheaper, it doesn't come in the casing. But if you want to dry it and cure it, for a few days to intensify the flavor, it's great too. Now that we have our meat, I'm gonna put it aside. Next step, we're gonna grind our peppers to make the sauce that's gonna go in there. So I'm gonna put my gloves away here, and I got this stick blender here that I'm gonna be using. Excuse me, turn this away, and I'm gonna put most of the peppers in here. If you got a blender at home, it works good too, but I'm gonna use my stick blender because my blender is not working right now. I'm gonna put them in a little container like this. Okay. And you want to soak the peppers with some hot water for about half an hour. And also, if you want to toast them a little bit, that's fine. Just get a pan, put them in the stovetop, warm it up, and you're gonna know when it's ready to take them out, because you're gonna start sneezing. Once it starts to get smoky, and it's nice because it gives a nice little smoky flavor when you toast the peppers. You don't have to, but I did this once. I did them a little bit this morning before I put them in the hot water to soak. That way, it kind of gets a nice and smoky flavor. Next, we're going to throw some of this fresh garlic I chopped over here. It's a little roughly chopped. I got about 6 cloves in there. Like I said, there's a lot of spices that go into this. And I'm going to use some apple cider vinegar. You can use regular white vinegar too if you want, but I prefer to use apple cider. Either one of those will work. I bought a cup of the vinegar. And you guys are going to get the recipe too along with the video, so if you ever want to try this, you're going to see this really simple. There's no... Okay, now I want to do something here. I want to put a little more water here from this peppers. Just a very little, not much. Put this aside here. Okay, now I'm going to start I want to do something. I want to cover this top. I don't want to spray, pepper juice all over my jacket. And we're going to puree this. And actually, a blender works much better if you got a blender. Like I said, mine is broke, so I'm using this stick blender. This way you don't splash anything all over your white jacket if you put a little towel on the top. See what I mean? So you don't want to do that at home. I'm going to put it back in there. And the blender works much faster, really, than this little, stick blender. You know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to change it to my food processor, to be honest with you. It's going to be much quicker than this little stick blender. Since I got one here, I'm just going to go over here, plug it in and use that. I was hoping it would be easier that way, but, it's a little one. Okay, I'm going to throw my peppers in there, along with the garlic. And you're going to see this is going to go much quicker. Okay. There we go. You can see it works much better with a blender. We want to make sure we puree this really nice. We don't want to have any big chunks because we're going to strain it anyways. If you do, that's okay, but you want to really go for a while. And that way you don't get messy too. Look at me. If you think this sauce is too thick, you can add a little more water from the water we have from the pepper soaking, so you can add a little more in there if you like, but this is okay. If you put too much water, it's going to be too runny when you mix it with the meat, so you got to be careful too. We're going to go a little, one more minute to chop it up really nice. And your regular blender actually works better than this, to be honest with you. I thought in the blender it's much quicker. Okay, one more minute here, and then we're going to take it off. I'm going to strain the sauce. Okay, I'm going to put this away. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I got my little strainer here. I'm going to get this out of the way here. That way I don't have too many tools on my table. It's nice to work a little cleaner. Okay, now we're going to strain this, the pepper. I'm going to press it through with a spatula. Okay, this is kind of easy. You want to kind of strain some of the skin from the peppers. That way it doesn't end up in your sausage when you make it. Okay. Okay. You want to push it through. You might have to work at it a little bit because it's not going to be going through by itself, so you want to push it through with a spatula. And you don't want to make it too runny. Like I say, you can add more water to this, but actually if you do, it's going to be too runny when you mix it with the meat, so you don't want that. You can see it's going through. It's like doing the mashed potatoes, remember? When you had to, press them through the sieve? The same thing. And you guys feel free to ask questions along the way. And you can also make this with beef. I'm sure you've seen it at the store that they make, beef chorizo. But actually, myself, I like the pork better, just the flavor. But again, you can, make it with beef if you like. You can follow the same recipe and the same process. It works the same. You also need to add a little fat as well when you do the beef. Maybe you don't want to add as much, but you can also add some fat. You can use pork fat too. You don't have to, scrape the bottom of this. It's kind of a thick paste, as you can see. Now behind some of the skins from the peppers, because some of this don't grind up. And you can grind this more if you want. You can put it back in the blender with a little more liquid and grind a little more, but I'm not going to do that right now. But if you want at home, you can do that. Okay. There we go. Now we have our sauce there. It's going to go into our meat that we got over here. Now I'm going to mix the spices. I have some the salt. I got about 2 tablespoons of salt in here. Okay. And I got all my spices that I have here. Paprika, all my ground spices. And this smells really nice. Once you grind them fresh, it's really great. Okay, I put some gloves on because I got to mix it with my hands. You can also mix it with the mixer with the paddle, but you know, since it's not a huge amount, I'm gonna do it by hand. But again, you know, normally when we make like, you know, a huge quantities, we mix it in the mixer. It's much quicker. But again, I'm just gonna do it by hand because it's so easy. And we're not. Okay. Okay, you want to make sure we mix all the spices in there. And it smells great already. And once you let it sit overnight, normally you should let it sit overnight before we stuff it into the casings, but today I'm going to show you how to do it right away. But you know, we should let it kind of sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then you know, it goes into the casing. You can buy natural casings, or you know, the ones that looks like a little piece of paper, or even some plastic casings out there. But you can find, you know, natural casings in the butcher shop. Make sure we blend this really good. And you can see some of the fat pieces in there. That's what you want. And it's really easy. As you can see, it's really not too complicated. Okay, now we're going to add our peppers puree here. See, it's going to turn nice and red. As you can see, a little bit, the mixture looks a little runny right now, but once you let it, you know, dry it up, a lot of moisture is going to evaporate. So it won't be like this if you let it, you know, hang in that cool, dry place for a couple of days, 4 days. And you can see some chorizos have been like dry, you know, for longer than that. They really dried up, but again, the flavor really intensifies when you do that. You know, once you cook it, it smells so wonderful, and it's really, really nice. And some are like just, you know, really fresh. They make it and, you know, they let it sit in the cooler for 4 or 5 days, and then they sell it. But you can also buy that and dry it up some more in your refrigerator at home. Salt here. Now it's mixed really nice. At this point, you can cover this and put it away in a plastic container. Make sure it's nice and tight, and then you don't have to stuff it into the casings if you don't want. But if you do, you know, you can wait and do it next day. Like I said, I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna show you. I got, you know, some casings over here that I'm gonna put into the meat in there. Okay, as you can see, this it's pretty much ready to go. Look at that, and it smells really good right now. It smells great. Okay, now I'm going to put this out of the way. I'm going to show you how to stuff it. And you don't have to have one of these machines or like a sausage machine to stuff it into the casing. I'm only going to take a funnel here. I'm going to cut a piece off, like so. Back there. I'm going to find the end here, open it up, and put it into the bottom of the funnel. I wish I had a bigger hole in the funnel. It's kind of real tiny, but if you got a bigger one, it works better. Okay, now I'm gonna tie this with a little butcher twine. So when I'm pushing down, it won't fall off. So, and again, if the funnel is bigger, actually it's better because more meat can go down. I don't know if this is gonna work that well. This is the only one I have right now, but normally if you have a bigger one, you know, it works much better because you can stuff more meat down the hole. But the idea is, you know, the same. It takes a little longer, but you know what? If you don't have one of those fancy machines, that's okay. You can still do it. Then you want to kind of bring the casing all the way into the funnel, so when you push the meat down, it kind of starts to fill up. And again, this is going to take a little longer to get it done because, you know, just by hand, I mean, I don't want to use the machine. I don't have the attachment right now, but if you use the machine, it's much quicker. But you can still use this. Just be careful not to rip the casing when you stuff it in there. Normally it's not sharp, it's just plastic. So, but again, you want to be careful not to make any holes in there. Okay, I'm going to tie this end now. It's too long anyways. Now I'm going to tie the end of this. You can tie it with this, the casing itself, or just do it with a, you know, butcher twine. You can make a little knot at the end like this. That way, you know, you don't have to use. Also, you know what, it works good too? Corn husks. If you like soak them, cut them into little strips, I seen it used too. Instead of, if you don't have butcher string, you know, if you got some corn husks, people that, you know, live in farms, there's, you know, I seen them use that before, and it works really well. Now that we have stuff in there, we're going to put some meat in here. And can push it, try to push it down. I hope it works for me because the hole is kind of tiny. But again, I want to try it anyways. You know, if I had a bigger funnel, it would work much better. But you know, that's all I have right now. But I know it works. If the hole is a little bigger, it's going to work much quicker. This is going to work too, but it's going to take a little longer to go down since the hole is tiny. But if you have one of these machines with attachments, it's even better. You know, it works much quicker. It's like making Italian sausage the same way, the same thing. And some of the sauces are cooked right away. I'm sure you've seen them, like andouille sausage. They come already, you know, smoke and cook. And there's so many different kinds out there. I mean, you got Polish, Italian, and again, you know, the process is the same. The idea behind is to preserve meat and use it for a later time, and that's how it all began. And nowadays, I mean, we have all different kinds from all different, you know, countries. So I'm going to put some of this meat on here. Let's hope this works. I'm going to start pushing it down. See? It works. You know, not as fast as I wanted to, but I have to like kind of push it down so it fills up the casing. And again, also I have to put a little hole in there. I got a little toothpick. If you have like a pin, it works good too, but if not, I'm going to use a toothpick to put a little hole in the casing so it doesn't blow up. There you go. That way it doesn't fill up with air when you're pressing it down. See, this takes a little longer to do it, but again, it does work. If you had a bigger funnel, more meat would go down and it would fill the casing much quicker. Push it in. Make sure it fills up really nice. See, this is going to take much longer, but I just wanted to show you guys that it does work. Just in case you guys don't have sausage machine or like the attachment for the mixer. I'm just going to stuff all this in and show you. Kind of push all the way down. and fill the casing all the way. Okay, see? So if you push it all the way down, it's gonna fill up the whole. You can tie a little string in between each length. That way you don't. You can just cut a piece off when you're ready to cook it. You don't have to cut the whole sausage up. There you go, and then you can push another one down. It's a little harder this way, but again, it does still, works in case you want to try this. And then if you want to cook a little bit right now, I'm going to try some. I'm going to put my pan on and saute a little bit, just to taste it for, the salt and spices. But, you can, otherwise you can wait and try it once it's, ferment a little bit in the refrigerator. All the flavors come together. It's like anything. The longer it sits in there, the nicer the flavors are going to come together. Okay, you see there? Oh, my thing just came loose too. But this is the idea here that it does work. Like I said before, it takes a little longer to do this whole process, but it works fine. I just made 2 little ones here. And you want to make a little poke. Just a little tiny one. You want to make it. You don't want to rip a big hole in there, so all the air comes out. And I'm gonna cut this in. You can either tie this with the casing itself. We'll make a little knot at the end, or put like a little string. I'm gonna use a little string because it's kind of short, and then you can put them away, hang them, and dry them up. You can dry this, in a cool place for 3 or 4 days, and then finish them off in the refrigerator. Or you can put them in if you have a walk-in cooler, it works better. You don't want to keep them on the room temperature because it's going to spoil. Even though it's got a lot of spice and vinegar, still you don't want to take a chance to get the meat spoiled. And okay. And here you go. You got 2 little lengths here, and you can put this away, cover it up with a plastic or something. And I wanna, like I said before, I wanna saute a little bit, this meat in here in my pan to show you that it breaks up really nice. Okay, I'm gonna move this machine out of the way because I got a lot of things going on here. Okay, I'm gonna use my non-stick pan. Now you can see it's nice and the color is nice and red from the paprika, all the the puree from the peppers. I mean, you can use chorizo for so many different things. I'm sure you've seen it. Some quesadillas, some tacos, you name it. It's a lot. You can even stuff some pork chops with it, and it's just depends what you want to do with it. And when you cook it, you want to break it down. You want to kind of use a wooden spoon and kind of chop it up so when it cooks, it doesn't stick together. You want to kind of have little crumbles. We have a question here by one of our students. the question was, can you smoke the sausage? If you want, you could. I mean, just, put them into the casings, and if you have a smoker, you can do it. It's gonna, give it a little different flavor. Normally, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't smoke the chorizo, but if you want to, give a little different flavor profile, you might as well do it. It's fine. It's always nice to try different things. I believe, about trying different things. As you can see, it's breaking down real nice. And it smells good, right, guys? We have another question here. The question was, can we freeze this and for how long? Yes, you can. You can, once it's done like this, you can put it in a Ziploc bag or in the casings. You can freeze it for about a month or so, But normally we never do that, but you can if you want. Usually, when we buy in the restaurant, sometimes it comes like frozen, but it's bulk. It's never in, like the links like this. This comes mostly fresh, but you can also, freeze them once it's stuffed into the casing. Here you can add some scrambled eggs in here if you want to make scrambled eggs and sausage. Right now, you scramble the eggs, put them right in there. The oil from the chorizo will help cook the eggs, and you can make a nice breakfast too. Okay, this is pretty much done, as you can see. Smells nice. Okay, I want to bring it over here on top of my cutting board so you guys can see it. And this is what it looks like, Right now, it's not going to taste as good as it's going to taste tomorrow or next day because, like I said, the flavors haven't come together yet. But if you let it, sit on the refrigerator overnight, it's like anything else, soups, whatever you make. Once I sit in there, for a while, the flavors come together. It's going to be much, much nicer, next day. But right now, you can eat it. It's great. I'm going to try a little piece just for, see, it's got enough salt when it does. And it's got a nice seasoning to it, nice flavor. But again, it's going to taste even better, tomorrow or next day. Once I let it, sit in the bowl in the refrigerator, it's going to be even much, much nicer. Even when you cook it, it's going to smell even nicer. And if you guys don't have any more questions, I want to wrap this up. And I want to thank you for being here this morning. I hope you guys can try this at home. As you can see, it's really easy. If you want to make a little less, you just cut the recipe in half, and you can still make it. You don't have to make as much, and you can even buy the meat already ground. That way, you don't have to go through the whole process of grinding the meat at home, and you just make your sausage, your chorizo, and go from there. Well, thank you again, and I see you next week.